Good morning, everyone. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. It is now 10 o'clock, so let's begin our webinar titled Building an Athlete's Physical Plan from Beginner to Seniors. I am very happy to introduce Bastian Safores, our guest today. Bastian is a physical trainer and trainer manager responsible for the physical preparation of both juniors and senior French national team in aerobic gymnastics. So welcome, Bastian, and thank you for accepting our invitation. But before to start, I would like to share some information about this webinar. This will be recorded and it will be available for review on the European Gymnastics YouTube channel and in e-learning platform in a few days. As you know, and you probably see already, the microphone and camera are currently disabled. But if you have any question, please use the Q and answer button, which you'll find below. The structure of the webinar will be in 4 parts. So after each part, if you have question, put it there and Bastian will answer you. Now I will leave the floor to Bastian. And I will close my microphone because we are in the same room immediately.
It's okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Aina, to introduce me. So I'm very happy to be here and to share my experience with you. I will try to be clear, and if you have any question, we can speak about that at the end of each part and at the end of the presentation. So today we are going to talk about the physical plan, the physical training for beginnings to seniors athletes. I will show you my work and our work with the French team with different parts for physical performance at the service of the discipline. Second, with training strategy. Third, with case study about Cantaniere last season. And very quickly, last part about the return to perform, the return to training after an injury. So for the first part, I think it's good if you understand my vision of performance and my training philosophy for my athletes' development. For the second part, very quickly about the basics of planification and periodization, and I will show you the physiological development with muscular and cardiovascular qualities. For the first part about Cantaniere, the planification to prepare the different competition during the year and before the competition of Cantaniere. And last one, very quickly about the return to perform, the return to training after an injury. And I took any injury, crossed ligaments for knees injury, which is the most important injury in our sport with ankle and back. So when I started to work with the French team, I think it's good now. Me? You understand me? Okay. Okay. It's okay, Alina? Okay. So when I started to work with the French team, I think now we think it was necessary to have the same definition of the aerobic. So the aerobic is very good discipline because it's necessary for you to improve all physical qualities and most important for us, the general qualities with, when I tell you during the presentation, general qualities, I think about functional and physical development, which is necessary for the specific training for the performance. So if you need to understand that, you can have a pyramid of performance. So the first step with functional movement, where it's necessary to improve stability, mobility, or body control. It's the capacity of your body for your joint, ligaments, and muscle to move very easily in the space. After the second step, you have physical development with the power. So power for me is the mom of the physical qualities because it's a link between force and velocity. And yes, also you work on your endurance with specific and general endurance. And after these two first steps, you can start to work with your specific training, specific work for your training project for the aerobic. And at the top of the pyramid, the really last step about the mental performance of your athletes. So for an example, it's very important to improve your functional movement and your physical movement because, for example, if we take a push-up, the push-up is not realize 50 push-up during your specific training. It's necessary to have stability on your shoulder stability, shoulder mobility, or back stability. When this functional are okay, you can start to work with this physical development and towards the strength, for example, for push-up on the shoulder. So when we have new athletes with the French team, juniors or seniors, we speak about with him or with her about our performance models. So I know it's very long to read these 7 performance models, but if you need to take one, take the weight-power ratio. The weight-power ratio is very interesting because the weight is a link between the mass and the gravity. The mass, the body mass of your athletes move every time during the year, with the age, between the gender. And after you work on the power, the link between force and velocity. And with this ratio, you can work with physiological qualities, capacities of your athletes and the physical qualities. So when we build our training, we think always about the weight power ratio, and we start to work with the difference between the weight and the power. So we respect different principles, which is the smart and the hard training. So smart training, very easy, is the capacity of your artist to understand your work, to understand what you want, what you do during the different training program, during your training block, for example. I think if your athletes understand your work, you can move very easily with them because they understand your goal for the different period, for the different competition. So the smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and the time bound. So yes, it's very important to work hard because aerobic is hard discipline where it's necessary for you to improve all physiological qualities. So the hard training is with the KISS training. KISS training is keep it simple and stupid. Do things simply, high intensity basics, training load management, and performance culture and hard training. If you need to take just one thing is the performance culture. I think it's very important to work very smart and very hard with your juniors because if they have the capacity to train correctly during the junior period, you can work very easily during the senior period, and you can improve the performance models and to improve really the hard physical quality. So the smart training and the hard training is in our global training strategy. So our inside training program, you have 3 other principles: individualization, with specific work based on physiological capacity and physiological profiles; progressiveness with limit the monotony. For example, when we need to work the power or the strength, we have different exercise for the same training block. So you can, and we change every time the different exercise in the same training program, but we develop and we improve the same physiological capacities and physical development. So it's necessary, I think the progressiveness is very important because if you limit the monotony after your athlete is very good and they have they want to do the physical development. And after you have variety and adaptability, so differentiation, different development about the different physical quality. So in your program, it's very important to respect these 5 principles: smart, hard, individualization, progressiveness, variety, and adaptability. So it's very important to understand the same group, juniors or seniors, you have a lot of difference in the level of your athletes. You have maybe beginners athletes, the new athletes in the team athletes in learning phase. So it's very important to learn the basics of your development, the basic of general or specific preparation. After you are intermediate athletes in development phase, so you can start to work with the power program, the strength program, the velocity program. And at the end, you can work on advanced athletes, so athletes in performance phase. So today, with the French team, we have only our seniors in advanced athlete because we have specific training for each one. We can with different tests, and I will show you after doing training strategy my different tests. It's very important to work for performance phase and to work specifically the physiological capacities of your athletes at this moment and to prepare the competition during the season. So you have difference between the level and you have difference between the age. So for the age, usually for your juniors, your bone growth is not the same for every athlete. And over the years, muscle mass increase reaching 40% in adulthood. So again, with the age, you have difference with the body mass during the year. For men or for women, the body mass increase during the year, and then at top of body mass at maybe 18 years old for men and for women. And you have also a difference between different categories. So during this presentation, I can give you a programs, exercise training program only for juniors, only for seniors, because I think it's very important to understand your athletes, to understand the level and the difference for age. And it's not possible today to have one category of exercise to improve the power, one category to improve the strength or all physical qualities. I think it's most important to understand the category of the age of your athletes. So you have children athletes with high learning capacity. So during this period, it's very important for you to get very smart with them because they have the capacity to learn very quickly the specific or general capacities. Second, you have teenager between 11 and 15 years old with hormone acceleration. So again, it's very important to work very smart, and you can start to work more hard with the hormone acceleration and to understand the difference between men and women. And young adults, physiological benchmark. So you can start if they are the level to work on your performance program for general or specific development. So I think it's very important to work very specifically about the different level and the different category of your athletes. So again, you have difference not only between the age, you have difference between the gender. So if we take a board, we have for the men, higher body weight, more muscle and strength, low body fat and low risk of injury. And for the woman, lighter body weight. In absolute strength, women are the same of men. High risk of injury on knees and backs, menstruation cycle and flexibility. So for women, I think it's very important to understand the menstruation cycle because 1 week each month, the risk of injury is very important for the woman during this period. So for me, physical coach, it's very important to speak about that with my athletes because if you work with your performance program with very high intensity, with very high intensity of very high volume, it's necessary to work during this period very correctly with them. So today is necessary I think you can work with 80% of the same program between men and women, but it's necessary to change maybe 20% for specific program. So again, you have difference between the body mass and the body fats. So if we taking for the juniors 14 years old, for the girl we have 55 kilogram, and for seniors we have 65. For men 52 for juniors, and for men seniors 68. And the body fat for me, which is very important, for juniors women 19 for juniors, and for seniors 25, and for the men 11, and for the men seniors 12. So with this body mass and body fat is very important to understand that, because you think always about the weight power ratio. And we have the same study for the French team. For the French team, we are with the men, juniors, 7 for the body fat and 11 for seniors. For women, 14 and 16 for seniors. Exactly for the body mass, for men 55 and for senior 70, and for the women 50 and for the senior 55. So you have significant difference between this between men and women. So it's very important to understand that, because after you can work very correctly, on your weight power ratio. So to conclude this part, it's very important to understand the weight. The weight is the link between mass and gravity. So the mass move every time during the year, between the age and between the gender. The gravity is always the same. So today it's very important to understand the training, to understand the physiological capacities of your athletes, and there's a lot of difference between them. So it's necessary to work methodical with chronological developments, harmonious with train smart and train hard. To conclude this first part, I think it's very important. Yes, it's necessary to improve and to understand the performance, to understand the difference between your athletes. But I think it's very important to have a good relationship between your athletes, because if you believe on them, and if your athletes believe on you, you can work very correctly. And I think everything it's possible, and you can start to work very correctly with them. So my first part is finished. If you have question, and after we are starting to speak about the training strategy.
How do you adjust the training?
Directly is when I started to work with the French team, it was very complicated to speak with the women athletes, because I'm the man. So it's not very normal to speak about that with a man. So now I know the different menstrual cycle of my each athlete, juniors and seniors. And when I build my training program, I know maybe the week, maybe not really, maybe 2 or 3 days, but I speak very normal with my athletes about that, and we share together. And I think I change my program inside. I know maybe if I need to work with high intensity program or high volume. If it's during the master cycle, I move my training program for this period, and after I work again with them to work more intensity or more volume after the menstruation cycle. I think it's very important to understand this physiological part, because I can change the physical development, but I can change the physiological capacity of women. So it's a part of the athlete. So I try to work very correctly with the woman. I have a question. It's possible to translate in French? Yes. At the end of the presentation for the French people, I translate the presentation in French. Don't worry, you can send me a message on Instagram or WhatsApp or everything. So I think it's okay. So for the next part about the training strategy. So the first part of this part is just the basics of planification and periodization for my different categories. So planification is very easy to understand that, because you have different cycles. Macro cycles, 1 year, and is your competition period analysis during the year, very easy. Mesocycle, your training block between 2 weeks or 8 weeks to prepare the different competition. Microcycles with several days, and 2 weeks with maybe you have 2 or 3 gym sessions during your week, and training day, just 1 day, just with training load management and with the menstruation cycle, for example. So before each season, with Matteo and Julian, we speak about our planification for the year. So now, from 4 seasons now, we have the tactical periodization. Tactical periodization, if you know Pep Guardiola, the manager of Manchester City, tactical periodization is a capacity of you, physical coach, and the other coach to work together for the same direction. You are here, me, a physical coach, or you coach, to improve your athlete for competition and for ready for the D-Day. So we have the same direction when we build our program with Matteo and Julian. So maybe, for example, if we need to improve the power, we have our training models. Inside, you have our training identity and our performance culture to improve that. And after, we have different principles, SMART and hard training, and after individualization, progressiveness, variety, and adaptability about the physiological capacities of our athletes at the moment. So the tactical periodization is with this picture. So for the preparatory period, maybe you have high volume and low intensity. So it's sometimes a learning phase with your different level of your athletes. You have transition period and you mix the volume and the intensity and you start to work with your training program. And before the competition, you have your competition period with high intensity and low volume. So we think it's very important to work and to understand this picture because it's necessary for you when you build your training to understand the training load management. You can work during the year with always very high intensity, very high volume. It's necessary to mix the difference, usually to limit the risk of the monotony of your athletes and to improve their physical qualities and to limit the overtraining during the season. So we have again this picture. In this way, we aim to achieve the surcompensation for the D-Day. So for the blue circle, we have our training stimulus. So maybe to improve the power, we have our training program for that. So after we have a fatigue with the red cycle, because we need different adaptation to improve our athlete in this way. And after we have this surcompensation or overcompensation for the green circle to be ready for the D-Day. So we think it's very important to understand this table because we work the coach or me, physical coach, to improve our athlete for the D-Day. And we think it's very important to understand the level of fatigue maybe during your trainings, specific training or general training, and after to work very correctly and very smart for the surcompensation. And after the yellow cycle for the recovery after the competition. Yes, because after the competition is very important to work with low intensity or low volume. So now we have our basics of planification and periodization. So now it's very important to understand the development of our athletes and our different tests and our different programs to improve the physical capacities of our athletes. If you remember our pyramid, we have the first step, functional movement with functional tests. After physical development with physical tests about to improve the power with the strength, with the velocity and endurance. And after you can work on your specific training after to improve your general capacities. So today with the French team, we have different tests. Two main category of tests, functional testing with mobility, stability, or body control. And I can see the different problems of the different joints, if it's a problem of mobility, problem of stability, or problem of core training. And after, for the second part, to improve the weight-power ratio with vertical and horizontal power. And we have Bosco, like Optogym, maybe if you understand. I realizing jump on this plate and they jump very high. And after I have a distance between the leg and the floor, and I can work correctly my training program to improve the higher of my athletes. So for the first part, for functional testing, it's very important to understand the difference between mobility and flexibility. Mobility is the capacity of your joint to move very easily in the space with a lot of range of motion. And flexibility is the capacity of your muscle to move in the space. It's same with a lot of range of motion. So it's very different because in my training test and my functional test, I have an analyze only for the mobility of the joint, not on the muscle, only on the joint, because we have a discipline or where our athletes are very good flexibility. So it's very important to identify the mobility problems. And after you have stability, stability is the ability of an articular complex to maintain this position during the movement, and it's synonymous with body control. So for that, we have different tests. Totally, we have 13 tests, a score to 20. So we have lower body mobility with 5 tests, upper body mobility with 3 tests, lower body stability with 3 tests, and upper body stability with 2 tests. So it's very important for me today to show you this 13 exercise. So if I need to take just 2 exercise which is very important, we have overhead squat test, for example, for the lower body and for the full body. Overhead squat test, just very easily, you put a stick overhead, open your feet on the same line of your shoulder, and you do a full squat. And I can evaluate the eversion or inversion of your ankle or again the knee for valgus, for example. And after this test, yes, now I have a test, but it's necessary for me to realize functional program to improve the different problem for this movement. So, for example, here we have a training program for back stability. And for each training program, we have a program for ankle mobility, stability, knee, same, hip, back, and shoulder. Always we have 5 exercises, 2 minutes on each exercise, and 1 minute for right and for left. So here you have an example of back stability. Here, an example of ankle stability. We're working every time with a foam roll where it's necessary to work on the fascia of your muscle to relax the zone. And with the different functional program, you can improve and you can reduce the different problems for the joint. If I need to take another exercise, I take the push-up test. The push-up test is very easy because it's specific for our sport. So you can see the dissociation between the shoulder, the back, and the hip. When you do the push-up and when your athlete do the push-up, it's very important to have the same alignment between the different parts of your body and to fight against the gravity. So exactly like the overhead test is necessary to realize functional program. And here for shoulder stability, for example, and you have the possibility to work for back stability for the push-up or shoulder mobility, which is different, which is exercise very important to improve this movement. So now I think you can understand our functional testing and our functional program. Now we're starting to work on our physical development. So, for example, when your athletes want to realize a jump, maybe is now functional problem for ankle, for back, for knee, for example, maybe technical problem, so you can work on that with your specific training, or maybe a physical problem. So today it's very important to understand what is the physical problem. Is maybe a force problem or velocity problem. So on my Bosco plate, my athletes jump And with the difference, I can observe is necessary to work of force training or velocity training. So this graphic on the left is necessary to work for the force training because the force is only with 30 and the velocity is not really good, really okay. And for the right graphic necessary to work on velocity training and to reduce maybe a little bit the force to improve the velocity. So with the different tests and with the different graphic, you can work for the force. The force, just the definition, you have different contraction. You have eccentric when you down, isometric when you don't move, and concentric when you push. So maybe when you realize a pike push-up, for example, when you are to do a push-up, there is the first phase with eccentric fight against the gravity, stop for the execution to again to fight the gravity, and after to push to realize another exercise during the routine. So it's very important to understand that because after in our training program, we working before the session on the different parts and the different contraction of this exercise, and exactly the same for the jump, for example, or you down and after you push. The force is the link between the mass and acceleration is only biomechanical profile. So it's very important to move very fast in the space. If you have the capacity, maybe for the plyometric training is capacity to hit the floor very quickly and to produce a lot of force in the floor. It's very important to move very fast with high power, with high force and high velocity. So with the force, you work on your velocity training. Actually, we're working only with plyometric training because it's necessary to be fast and to have ankle, which is really strong for the general for vertical or horizontal forces and for the force development. And after, when you have your force and your velocity, you can start to work on your power because the power is in between the force and velocity. So when you have your different statistics about the capacity of your athlete with the different physical tests, you have this profile. So force velocity profile. You have your maximal power at the peak of your orange line. And with the maximal power, you have your optimal force or optimal velocity, force 0 or V0. Okay, so this profile is very interesting for me because when you build your training to improve the power of your athletes, if you don't have a statistic before, you don't know exactly what you do, what you want for the different period of your program. So it's very important to have during your training, you see if your power improve or not, and it's necessary for you to change. Maybe if you choose to work specifically on the force and you don't have a good result for maximal power, maybe for your group it's necessary to improve more velocity, and after you see if the velocity is better or is better for the force. And the maximal power is very different for each athlete, because for one athlete it's necessary to improve the mass, to improve the force, sorry, or to improve the velocity. Maybe you have 2 athletes for the force, maybe 4 athletes for the velocity. And for you, it's very interesting to understand the physiological profile and to understand what is necessary for this athlete at the moment. So actually, we're working with these different tools. We have percentage-based training. With my juniors, my beginners and intermediate athletes, I work only with percentage-based training. I have different tests. For my beginners athletes, I don't have weight tests, only body weight test and only a jump test on the Bosco because it's very easy and it's not safe to have a weight on the shoulder. So I work with body weight. For my intermediate athletes, I starting to work with weight and to have a different percentage. Maybe if I need to improve the force, maybe now for each one, I when I say 90% of the capacity to realize the movement, maybe for the squat or for the bench press, for example, they have the weight. And for the seniors, I work and I starting this season to work with the velocity based training. The velocity based training is with Vitruve. Vitruve is a tools to work in this way. Maybe when I need to realize the squat with my athletes, I put the Vitruve with a cable on the floor, and I know the different velocity of the bar during the movement. It's very important for me because I have a feedback. My athletes have a feedback about the velocity of the bar, and you can see here you have the different speed of the bar during the movement. So maybe if I need to work with the maximal power, strength, speed, and middle, I need for my athlete to stay between 1 and 0.75. Okay, and maybe if my athlete realize the test and they are between 1.3 or 1 is not the correct work for today, maybe I put more weight on the bar, not 20 kilo, just 5 kilo, for example. But I search always to work specifically for what is necessary for me at the moment for my training program. So now we have, and I think you understand my different testing with my athletes. So now I will show you the different results of my athletes with my different program. So here is a statistic analysis about the functional testing. Just look the first. So at the right, you have our first testing with our 13 exercise to 20. And after the last test on the left, you have after the functional training for functional program. They have specific functional program. I think maybe you have 2 or 3 athletes who have the same program, but they have their specific functional program for this period. So for the first test, we are average between 14, and now we are between 18 and 20. So it's very good for the different mobility, stability, or body control. And here you have just a graphic for sky blue first test and dark blue the second test. So you can see the evolution of the score between the years. So I think it's more easy to understand like that. So now with the power test, you have on the left, you have the Clara-Lestrio test. I don't know if Clara-Lestrio, I think everybody know. For Clara, it's necessary to improve the force and to work specifically on force production for her. On the right, you have Margot Garcilaso in the group, where it's necessary for her to improve the velocity. So after, our athletes have a specific program to improve their physical problems. So for the upper body, it's necessary to work with the strength and the speed and to work with the power, and exactly the same for the lower body. So for the lower body, just very specifically, we work only every time during the year, during the season, the plyometric and the weightlifting training and the load contrast training. Because I think for the upper body, it's necessary to be strength, to be powerful. But for the lower body, I think it's necessary just to be strength, but to move very fast on the floor with the ankle and with your footwork. And every time, yes, we're working with the core training and the deep abs. So now for the different tests very quickly about the bench press. For example, we have an average of 1.5 for the weight power ratio. If you remember, the weight power ratio is our direction during our training program. So for the bench press, we have significant difference between the first and the fifth test. Exactly the same for the squats. The squat, we are 1.9 weight power ratio. So it's very good, and we have significant difference between the both tests. For the counter movement jump, exactly same. We have significant difference between the first and the fifth test. The counter movement jump, just you realize a jump, normally jump on the Bosco, and we have 14 centimeters more. Drop jump, plyometric jump, where I can analyze the capacity of your athlete to move very fast on the floor and to have a rebound exercise. Exactly same, we have significant difference between the both tests. And last one, with the specific scissor jump, we have significant difference between tests. So for the vertical and the horizontal test, we have general test, and I need to have a specific test, because now I can see my general test can improve the specific training of my specific qualities of my athletes. Also, we're working today with our medical staff, again with the weight power ratio on the bike, and with the heart rate variability and the capacity of your breath during the effort, and I can analyze the watt during the test. So I finished the training strategy. If you have a question, I know it's maybe complicated to understand. Yes, I can share the source of the different tests. I have my bibliography in my computer, and I can share you this bibliography, because I have a lot scientific paper about that. Usually about the force velocity profile, because is a French guy. We will improve this test. So yes, I can share you the bibliography. No problem for me. It's okay. I know it's maybe complicated to understand the force velocity profile and how it's possible to improve the physical. I think if I need to speak only with force velocity profile, I can speak with you during 1 week about that, for force, for velocity, for power. So I try to resume very quickly this part. And if you have any question after the presentation, I'm very happy to share you about that. So now, after this part, is we're starting to work with the case study about Cantanhede, and really now you know the different training programs, the physical development, functional development. So now how we can improve that in our training period and to prepare the competition. So you have exactly the same different cycle: macro, meso, micro, and the training day, basics of planification. And inside, I'll show you our muscular development, and after our cardiovascular development. So for the muscular development, you have all parts. So your period, is very important when you start the season with Matteo or Julien, to understand the different parts and the different way to improve the capacity of our athletes. So we have general 4 weeks, specific 4 weeks, pre-competition 4 weeks, competition 1 week before. Just before, and after our competition, just 1 week for the recovery period. Macro cycle, we have pre-season, if we can say pre-season, season 4 weeks specific, and 4 weeks before pre-competition, before the competition, 1 week in the competition and after competition. And for the mesocycle, microcycle for intensity and volume, it's very important to remember the graphic about the volume and the intensity. For the preparatory period, for general, we have high volume and low intensity. For the specific, we mix the volume and the intensity. And during the 4 weeks before the competition, we have high intensity and low volume, and we change the different parameters for this period. So maybe for mesocycles, for general, we're working with submaximal strength and strength endurance. For specific, submaximal strength and force velocity. Force velocity is like maximal power, for example. Maximal strength and force velocity. We are very high intensity, but very low volume. For 1 week or 2 weeks before competition, we are only with maximal power, only fast movement with a lot of strength, with a lot of velocity. And during the competition, maybe 4 days before the competition, we work only with the fast movement and the speed movement to improve the plyometric and to maintain the plyometric for the competition. And after we have prophylactic training to recovery after the competition. So if you remember the graphic, you have microcycle high intensity, volume, and after during the period we change, middle we mix, and after high intensity and low volume before the competition. We have exactly the same for the cardiovascular development. So the same period, general, specific, pre-competition, competition, and post-competition, after competition, pre-season, season, competition, and after competition. And for the mesocycles, we thinking 10 weeks before a competition to work with constant and linear heart rate variability. Today, we're working with tubes. We work with MoveSense, and we can analyze. Yeah, we can analyze the heart rate variability of my athlete of the athletes at the moment. So if we need to improve the cardiovascular endurance, is necessary for us to have a linear endurance during the effort, for general and specific, during maybe 6 or 8 weeks. And 4 weeks before the competition, it's very important to have a lot of variability between the heart rate and to have alternate effort and recovery. So it's very important to have a peak of performance, peak of the heart rate, maybe in 10 seconds. After they have 20 seconds to rest, maybe they lost 20 heart rate, and after to change. And we have always like that. And it's very important to work with that before competition, because exactly with the graphic, it's very important to work with high intensity and low volume. So if you have the possibility to have a variability on a heart rate before the competition, you can maintain the power of your athlete at the moment and the power of the heart rate. So to understand that, you have different zone. So zone 1, recovery, zone 2, endurance, in the zone after competition to recovery. Zone 3, when you mix intensity and volume, so you are on your moderate effort when you work, and after before competition, high intensity, low volume for zone 4 and zone 5 with very high intensity. So our cardiovascular development is very hard for our athletes because we have the feedback directly during the effort. So maybe sometimes you say fast, because we see with the heart rate down progressively. So it's very important to maintain, maybe for the endurance, to maintain the heart rate during the effort and linear heart rate for when they work. So here you have an example for linear endurance, and you in the middle here, just the recovery between the both exercise. For this test, yes, it's very important for us to analyze the heart rate variability during the effort, but the time which is necessary for our athlete to recover after the effort. So if our athletes recover very fast after the effort, we can start again and we can work and the muscle can rest very correctly. And with the cardiovascular development, we have the capacity to work also on the capacity of your heart to recover after an effort. It's very important because in competition, so sometimes they are for juniors, seniors, a lot of warm-up. And with maybe if they have 1 hour, maybe they do the routine 1 or 2 times. I remember for the European Championship, for example, our juniors, maybe if I take Robin do just before his routine, 6 routine in 2 days before to prepare the first routine. So it's very important to okay, is that I can change because is normal for the competition. It's very important for me to work very correctly with Ruben, for example, because if the heart has the capacity to recover very fast, he can realize a lot of routine during movement and maybe start here, routine here, and very directly here, and after he do the routine. So I work also on the recovery. So for the example of muscular development, I will show you my gym session with my athletes and the different part of my gym session. So yes, you have the functional movement about the specific functional capacities of my athletes with my functional test. So you have a lot of energy. The warm-up, specific warm-up about the session and about the training day, maybe for the lower or for the upper body, for the strength, for the maximal power, for example. Again, you have a lot of energy. And after you have your block number one. Your block number one is the block which is the most important. Maybe if you want to work with maximal force, maximal power, or maximal velocity, it's necessary for you to work this block at the first time because your athletes have a lot of energy, and to realize high intensity movement, it's necessary to have a lot of energy. So after this block one, you have the block two for secondary with maybe, for example, unilateral strength or posterior chain to improve the different muscle for agonist and antagonist. After you have block number three with weightlifting and force transfer between the lower and the upper body. And last one, because our athletes don't have energy, core training to recovery, to rest after this big session, for example. And actually, we're working only with deep abs to reduce injury of the back. So I think it's necessary to work today only with the abs for my part, because in specific training they working with abs. So for me, my part is important to work with the abs to protect the lumbar and the low back. So if we're taking an example of lower body session, maybe for example during the over squat you saw and you have seen ankle problem. You can work on ankle stability, for example. Specific warm-up with the different contraction of your jump, eccentric, isometric, or concentric. Why is necessary to work your jump? Maybe for the butterfly, if we take an example, there's a different muscle which is in action during the specific movement. So you have the quadriceps, adductor, hamstring, glutes, calves, and deep abs. So after, when you understand the different action with your muscle, you can build your training program to improve the different action of your muscle. For example, a specific warm-up, you can work with jump rope. It's very easy because I think all athletes know to jump rope. Hip thrust very good exercise, because with this test you can work on deep abs, hamstring, and glutes. So it's very important to focus on the different muscle during this movement. And I think for me, the best exercise before to realize power session, for example. For the block one, for example, to improve the power, we're working actually with the French contrast training. The French contrast training is the capacity to realize heavy movement with a speed movement directly after. So, for example, you can realize a squat. It's not always with a bar, maybe on the shoulder. You can realize squat with body weight or with lightweight, with maybe kettlebell or a little bit dumbbell, no problem. After 5 seconds, speed movement, maybe box jump, for example. Third exercise with power movement, weightlifting. In this part, you can just learn the weightlifting movement to be fast and for the force transfer between the lower and the upper body. And last one, which for me is the most important with the heavy exercise, to work with maximal speed and to assisted jump. Maximal speed is very important because directly in this session you can improve the plyometric, and you can help your athletes to move very fast during the training session. After the block number one, you have, for example, unilateral training and posterior chain training. So with split squats, squat jump, and hamstring with a ball. So no problem. And you have between 6 to 10 reps for each exercise. Not really very high intensity or very low volume, because in this part you have a high intensity. Here is just to we can speak about injury prevention. For the third weightlifting and the force transfer between the lower and the upper body, and you have different exercise to improve that. And it's not only with a weight, and you can work with body weight or with a little weight. And for the last part, you have for deep abs, and maybe, for example, you have dead bug, and after you have just hollow, static hollow. So yes, I speak and I tell you every time the importance to work with deep abs, because I think your abs is in center of your body. First to realize the force transfer between your lower and your body and your upper body, and to limit the injury of your back. Our athletes, I think, is normally in gymnastics. They have a lot of, and she stay and he stays sometimes like that. So when they move, the abs is not only in contraction, the abs is relaxed, and only the back work. So it's very important to work and to work in retroversion for your hip, to work very in the deep abs, and to limit the risk of injury on this part. For me, is the most important. So after lower body session, very quickly, you have the same case for upper body session. Maybe it's the same for you to improve the shoulder stability. So shoulder stability after maybe for your push-up test or for your other test during your functional testing. Exactly with the same with a jump, you have different contraction, eccentric, isometric, and concentric. Here, different muscle. When you realize the push-up, maybe in the off-axis, you have the jump. Off-axis is very good because it's necessary for this movement to improve the lower body, and after the upper body, because they are in a push-up. So you have the chest, the arms, the shoulder, the abs, and the glute sub to have the same contraction with the back. Exactly with the same with the jump, you can work with different contraction, eccentric push-up, isometric push-up, to fight always against the gravity. French contrast technique, exactly the same. Strength movement, speed movement, power movement, and maximal speed with assisted jump. And exactly with like lower body session, you can improve the power with French contrast training. Sorry. Second, to have a thoracic opening, because it's necessary for our discipline to have this position and to look really strong. So you can work on the back and for the arms. Same for the force transfer. You can use a med ball. Med ball slam is very good tools because you can work with lightweight, and you can maybe for the first exercise the wall ball or the slam ball for the second exercise. Your athletes have tools for working, and when you have little athletes, they are very happy to work with maybe dumbbell, kettlebell, or medicine ball. So it's very fun to work with that, and you can, with this movement, improve the force transfer between the lower and the upper body. And after last one, yes, you work on your deep abs with a different exercise. So for the training load management, which is for me very important, very quickly, because it's very long to speak about this part. When we finish a general session or specific session, we speak with our athletes about the intensity of the session. Maybe when we build a session for me, gym session or specific session, we have the score. Maybe for me, my power training is a 7 on 10. Okay. My athlete do the session. Maybe for my athlete, the session is 9. Okay. My 7 is 9 for my athlete. So if I want to have a 7, it's necessary for me to reduce the intensity of my training for the next session. And we try every time to have the same score between our athletes. We thinking is very important to have the feedback of the intensity of your athlete, because you can work alone. You coach, or me, physical coach, it's very important to have the feeling of your athletes during the gym session. And after, you can share with them about, okay, what do you think about the session today? For me, it's very, very high intensity, and for me, it's not very high intensity. So maybe for this athlete, in theory, to maybe if only one athlete, to change for this athletes. Maybe if other athletes, it's okay. I change only for one athlete, and I work always with that, and I change my training every time with that and with my training load management. We have the same for the wellness. The wellness is body shape score with pain, fatigue, stress, sleep, and energy. Every morning on the phone, they make the score for the different category, and every day we change our training about the body shape of our athletes at the moment at the training day. So we train maybe if we are maybe sometimes our athletes have no pain, no fatigue, no stress, no sleep, but the energy are very low, maybe 2 on 4. We discuss with them about what is the problem, and sometimes it's mental problem or maybe personal problem. So okay, not it's about the training, no, it's about your performance, no, only the mental. Okay, okay, we can work with that. Maybe it's a real problem, we can work with a mental coach, or directly we speak with them about these problems. So when they have maybe during different day, lot of fatigue, lot of pain, lot of stress, we speak with them about that. Maybe it's our problem because our training is very high intensity, and for this athlete it's not correctly. And maybe we have the possibility to change 1 week or 2 weeks for these athletes. Or is other problems, we speak with medical staff, and maybe for pain, for athletes is just a good pain, but for us it's not good pain. So it's very important to work and to speak about what is a real pain with our athletes, because I think the seniors know what is a real pain. So today the juniors is very difficult for them to understand what is a real pain. So we are here to speak with them about that. So here you have just a graphic to understand the variability and the ratio of the chronic and agu management. So is the difference between our score and the athlete score. And after we have statistics between these both score, and it's safe to stay between 80 and 130 for the ratio. Here you have a graphic about the wellness, and you can see is not really the same. You have sometimes a lot of pain, a lot of fatigue, a lot of energy. And after each season, for 4 seasons now, we have the statistic of the season, and we know with the competition, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks before competition, we know exactly who at the moment are a lot of energy, a lot of fatigue, a lot of stress. And now we have the possibility to work with our seniors, for example. Okay, actually, Clara, we know 4 weeks before the competition, you have a lot of pain. 3 weeks, 3 years before is exactly the same. So it's very important for us in our training program to reduce the intensity and the volume for this week to work very correctly with you. And now for each athlete, now for 3 years ago now, we knowing at the moment what is necessary for them and for improve the physiological capacities for general and specific training. For the seniors, I think it's very necessary to know for and remember the menstruation cycles. Maybe the menstruation cycles, you have athletes no energy, no lot of fatigue, lot of pain. So we change our training for this moment. So this part is it's over. If you have a question for the case study about Cantanide, I think now you can understand our training philosophy and our training program to improve our athletes. So we're trying to work very specifically about them and to understand the different problems with them. Okay, I think it's okay. So for the last part, very quickly about the return to performance, the return to training after an injury. And I took cross ligaments because I have this case last season for Margot, and she is in the group this season. Last season on the butterfly movement, I had the butterfly movement because the knee is in rotational, and for me in physiological and biomechanical is not possible. But for Matteo it's normal, so I think it's normal to work the butterfly. So very quickly, because yes, it's a part of my job to work with my athletes, but I have very good relationship with my physiotherapist, and we work together to during this period. So I speak with you very quickly because like force velocity profile, I can speak about the return to perform during 2 hours. So just an example for crossed ligament. So when the injury are here, you have this first period, you have a post-operative phase between 0 to 6 weeks. So maintaining muscular activity, reduce inflammation, and return to working. This part is 80–90% only with the physiotherapist because yes, I can work with my athlete to help them to walk and to realize different exercise, but I think this part is only for the physiotherapist because they can work very correctly with myself to reduce the inflammation with athlete. For the second part, more with me about low rehabilitation phase between 6 weeks to 3 months, and it's a possibility for me to start the work for the upper body, for example, or for the good leg. I think it's very important to understand that maybe if the right leg is broken, for example, you can work for the left leg because it's very important to maintain the neuronal activation, neuromuscular activation, and if you work very correctly for the good leg, you continue to the neuromuscular activation exactly. So it's very important to work that. You can work with other program with motor control, with eyes, and very, very funny because you have the time to work very funny with them. So work for upper body, for example, cardiovascular for maybe for the bike only with arms, or with the other rower with arms, and the progressive strengthening. So third part, high rehabilitation phase 80% with me, and 20% with the physiotherapist for the massage and to reduce the inflammation between 3 months to 8 months. So this part is really and very important for me because I have maybe 5 months to have the same testing of before the injury. So I think it's very important for your athletes before to restart the training, to restart with the teammates, to have the same test before the injury. Because if they don't have the same physiological capacities, when they start again with the team, the intensity and the volume is the same of the other. So if the body is not ready for the high intensity, for the volume, and for the high volume, you have the possibility to have the same injury 1 year, maybe 1 year, not directly, but maybe 1 year, 2 years after the rehabilitation phase. So it's very important to an integration of moderate intensity, identification of ground contact cardio, and return to test forces with jump, with squat, with for exactly same for the upper body. So this part is very important to understand. And the last part, the return to training after the different tests, after the different training with the group, heavy workload, and mental confidence. So if you remember the pyramid of performance, it's very important to work for the mental confidence, because if your athletes are feel very good shape, physical is very good, but if they don't have a good mental to restart the training, I think it's not possible to restart the training, because they think always about this injury 1 year before, but they think, and because 1 year is very, 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 very young, very long, and it's very important to work for the mental confidence or for the mental performance. And actually, we work in that when we speak with them, but we have a mental coach to improve that. And I think it's very important to understand the mental of our athletes. For the juniors, it's the same, but the juniors are really young to understand really what is an injury, what is mental. For when you have an injury in the seniors, it's very important to speak with him about the return to perform. So if you have a question, the last part is a conclusion. So to conclude this presentation, for me, 4 points, which is very important to understand the training strategy, the strategy plan, because it's very important to understand the different period during the year with the different competition and for the different training block, to understand what you do, what you want for the competition, and to prepare the competition. The physiological difference between men and women, the gender, the age, and the different level between the different athletes. So for menstruation cycle, for example, for me, it's the most important difference. And actually, you can work 80% of the same program between men and women, but instead for you to change 20% in your training for specific developments. The power training with functional testing, physical testing, and to improve the physical development of your athletes is necessary to work with force, to work with velocity, and to improve at the end the power, because the power is the link between force and velocity. And last part, with me, which is the most important, because yes, you can develop and you can improve the physical of your athletes, but if you don't have a good relationship with your athletes, you can't work very quickly. Today, I started to work with the French team in 2021, and it was difficult for me to have a good relationship with my athlete at the start, because we have 2 or 3 years, we have the same age. So it's sometimes very different, but now I think they believe on me. I believe on their performance, on their capacities. So if you have a good relationship with all athletes to understand the problems, sport problems or personal problems, and if you speak with them about that every day, not only during the training, but every day for message, for call, with the phone, you can have a good relationship with them, and after everything is possible for me. So my presentation is finished. Thank you very much, and if you have a question, I'm here with you, and I am very happy to share you. I will be happy to share you this presentation and our different bibliography for the different tests and different training program. So thank you very much, and if you have a question, I'm here.
So, sorry, Bastian.
No problem.
Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. It was not only wonderful, but was useful for all of us. We are here during the training camp, so in this room are all the coaches who are registered in the training camp and coaches course. I'm really happy to have you here with us. We thank you for this information. I'm sure if the coaches will apply at least half from what you presented here, our athletes will be very good and we will keep them for a long time with this. So if you want to say something, coaches? No? It's Bianca Gorgovan. I think I will move my laptop. Okay. So you can speak.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think it touches the really important parts and components of the training and competition process. I do really appreciate the physiological part, the physical training. You also mentioned that you are working closely with the physiotherapist and mental coach. Is that right? And maybe I was wondering how these elements are working together and if there is any point as well for nutrition in the athletes process as well.
Yes. Okay. In our training center, we have medical staff and nutritional staff. So actually, the nutritionists work with our juniors and sometimes with our seniors. But I try to speak and to do understand the importance of the nutrition in the performance. Sometimes it's very complicated because the juniors live with their parents, and it's very hard to speak with the parents in this way for this athlete to eat that, because sometimes they don't have the possibility to take this nutrition. For the seniors is really different because for the seniors is very specifically. Maybe for the nutrition for Clara Lustrio, it's not the same for Victoria Trosse, it's not the same for maybe for Margot. So we trying today to understand their life, because it's not only eat that, eat, is understand their life, personal life. Maybe they are in the study, they work with the job, and maybe they don't have the same hour when she eats. So just we speak with them about that, but we don't have nutrition. No, we don't have necessary for you to eat that. Just it's very forced to eat a lot of protein. Don't eat the glucid or lipid at this time. Just it's only in information, not only eat that, just in information. And after we actually working with nutrition staff in the training center.
Thank you. Anybody else? I will open the microphone and I will put it here just to be sure everybody will hear you. I am here with Olga Kiselovikova.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Bastian, to have your fantastic presentation.
Thank you very much.
I'm really happy to hear it here, and I think already Bianca said that it was very wonderful, and I really appreciate that it was very complex,
Yes.
and that you combine science with practice. So I think this is very important to understand for the coaches that you're really working on the scientific results and you're taking it to the practice. So because not so many countries, they have so much possibilities. Yes. So this is very, very ideal what you showed us, but I really appreciate that you showed us this case study during the year, how to work during the year, the planning. And so this is, I think for the coaches is very important. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you once again, Bastian, and thank you all for participating in this webinar. We will waiting you for the next webinar because we plan to do, of course, another webinar this year. This time will be about music and musicality. It will be in October, and I'm sure you will attend for this webinar. I think we try to have the best lecture for our sport. And as you see, we succeed with Bastian this time.
Thank you very much.
Last year, during the training camp, during the roundtable, we asked, as usually, our coach what they need. So they said, they need this, they need physical preparation and planning. So here we are, we give you this. Feel free to send us a message. What do you need for your preparation as a coach to be the best? Thank you to all for this presence and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.